Hello, everybody. Dr. Dan Miller here. That's right, it's week 15, pro football and America 250. We're going to have our podcast now coming on. Hey, this is a special time here. I dug out my old jersey. Fits like a glove. Yeah, dug out my old jersey. What you're seeing back there is me, and yeah, caught the pass in the moment there. Now wait, Dan, it's black. You're wearing the black. This is the white. What's the story? Well, that's the home jersey. I've got the away jersey. Little disclosure: this was self-donated to me when I was an outgoing senior in high school. Self-donation of this jersey. Not everybody was thrilled with that fact, but so be it. So here we are, all these years later, decades later, in fact, and we're looking at Week 15, Pro Football and America 250. All right. I'm watching. I'm a big fan of John Middlecoff in his podcast, Three and Out or whatever it is. I watched it this morning as we are wrapping up the 15th week. He was talking about last night's Monday night game, which I did not see, and he referenced the press conference of Matt LaFleur, and that's what we're talking about today, with the devastating injuries that the Packers suffered in Week 15. And so I went and watched the press conference. First 10 seconds or so, I think I've got a link up on it here at my webpage. First 10 seconds or so, I'm thinking, okay, not a big deal. 60 seconds in, yeah, big deal. You can tell LaFleur, understandably, has a kind of almost shocked look on his face as it's just kind of sinking in. And I suspect there's some psychology in this, where you hear yourself talking about something that's enormously significant, that's negative, and it just starts to sink in further as you hear yourself using the words and so on. So again, first 10 seconds I didn't quite pick that up, but 60 seconds and further in, and it's pretty clear it's a shock to him. And so that's what's on my mind, and I want you to kind of put that in one hand here as we move forward for Week 15, and for all the owners, coaches, players, and fans who've been nice enough to watch this. Here we go. Week 15, head coach George Washington with his brand new Continental football team located outside of Boston against their only rival, arch rival, all rival British Redcoats. The front office is in Philadelphia with the Continental Congress. And the ownership is like the Green Bay Packers now, where it's community owned, and every home that says, yes, we support the colonial union and the colonial cause, the American cause, every home that says that is an owner of the team. One of the side issues is, does the number of homes say that fluctuate over time? That's a big deal. But we're in Week 15. And again, got Matt LaFleur and that look on his face as he's talking about a devastating blow here in the 15th week of the season. So what's George Washington doing in the 15th week of the season? Well, he's doing something for the 100th and 200th and 300th time. He's decided that we in the middle of recreating an army. Remember, he got a franchise. He's the head coach from June on. As we've gone through the summer and into the early fall, and now as we're into December, a lot of the team is leaving, melting away. They're discouraged and disgusted and whatever else, and they're just leaving the front lines. The soldiers, that is, the players. And so Washington's having to bring new people in to keep everything kind of going, and so he realizes, I've got to reteach and recoach and redo all of the stuff we're trying to learn them to do. And I'm not even talking about how to maneuver on a battlefield, and we're not even talking about that now. We're talking about, how do you put on your uniform? What should be on your uniform? How do you fill out the paperwork if you're the officer of a company or a regiment? How do you get your food? How do you get your clothing? How do you get your shoes? And on and on. All of these just procedural things that with a small p we're going back over and over and over again to make sure everybody's understanding what to do. Now, he's doing this for a reason, right? Well, a few reasons. One is to make sure everybody's got the right uniform on and all the other things I just mentioned, but also to make sure that we all understand we're all one as us. We wear the same uniform, we have the same procedures, we have the same ways, we're all one as us. And so every time somebody leaves and says, I've had it, and somebody new we're blessed enough to have to come in and say, well, I'll do it, we gotta go over all this. We gotta show how we're all one as us. So forgetting the battlefield part of it, this is just enormous, and he's got to go back through it. I wonder what look comes on his face when we're doing this for the 99th time. What look comes, we saw Matt LaFleur, what look comes on head coach George Washington's face as yet again, I've got to re-explain the procedures here. He can't be exasperated, he can't be defeatist, he can't be short-tempered and ill-willed and all of those things. What look comes over his face. So that's one thing I want you to keep in mind. That's what head coach George Washington is doing over and over and over again 250 years ago right now in his week 15. But there's another thing that's going on in week 15. And in the front office, one of the folks staffing the front office, one of the delegates to the Continental Congress, Robert Livingston, has found whatever is the latest report of the team that's now trying to invade and capture and make Canada the 14th colony. They're out on the outskirts of Quebec. He's been hearing good reports, reading good, so he's, okay, great, that's great. But then he's been hearing in these same reports an awful lot of stuff about people being at each other's throats on the same team. Officer against officer, officer against soldier, soldier against soldier. The Continental team out there in Canada and outside of Quebec is chewing each other up. Good reports about how we're making progress against the enemy, awful reports about how we're making progress with one another. So Livingston says, we got to get this under control. The front office has to make sure that this part of the team is functioning well. We've got a committee of the front office, a committee of the Continental Congress, that has charge of this. They're supposed to kind of keep oversight, that'd be the 2025 term, oversight of this, to try to bring things closer together out there in terms of the unity of things. I'm not hearing this as much, Livingston says, from the Boston area where the head coach is, but by thunder, out here where the head coach isn't, I'm hearing an awful lot about this division. And if we don't address it, we're going to look like idiots, and the public is going to think we are idiots. So I'm just thinking here. We've got head coach Washington over and over and over again with his procedures. We've got front office guy Livingston saying the front office got to get its act together, or the public is going to lose confidence in the front office. Those are two different things. We're talking about the frontline players where the head coach is, and we're talking about the front office's capabilities. I find that really quite intriguing as we enter week 15. In Indianapolis where I am, we've got 44-year-old Phillip Rivers. It's a quarterback. A lot of questions here about what's the front office been doing if we have to have 44-year-old Phillip Rivers as the QB. I'm not taking a stance either way on this. I'm just saying it's interesting to me how you have a difference between front office issues and on the field issues. Washington has seen this. He's on the field, and his part of the field, having his issues. We got to practice this stuff over. Here's how you put your helmet on. Here's how you put your on. There's where the end zone is. All of that on the field. But yet we got the front office having its own issues, and to some extent almost a certain separateness to it. So Washington is dealing with the same thing. Now, for him, 250 years ago, and then I'll get out of your way. For him, he's got a foot in both worlds. He's a frontline guy. I'm the head coach. I'm showing him how to do stuff. And he's also a kind of a front office guy in the sense that he's the symbol outside of Boston where people are. He's the symbol of the front office, too. So it's a weird kind of world for him as far as that's concerned. But look what he have on his face. We saw the look of Matt LaFleur. We'll see what looks we see on faces in week 16. I'm Dan Miller, Historical Solutions, LLC. It's pro football at America 250. And don't tell anybody about the self-donated shirt.